Welcome to Pushing the Limits with your host, Lisa Tarmity, where it's all about health optimization, anti-aging, longevity, and being the very best you can be. Brought to you by lisatarmity.com.
Well, hey everyone, and welcome into Pushing the Limits once again. It's fantastic to have you all with me. Today I have Dr. Samantha Newman with me.
So we've got to really look at the individual, but give women space to be like, this isn't for me, but I still think it's hormones. Because if I gave you a blood pressure, right? If I gave you an antihypertensive, a common one is an angiotensin, an ACE inhibitor.
Yep.
So I gave you a prescription of quinapril. Oh, your blood pressure's not getting better. Oh, well, we won't manage it then.
Yeah.
What we go and do? We try you on a beta blocker or an angiotensin or an ARB. Or actually, is it that you need something like spironolactone because it's an aldosterone mechanism? You know, there's so many different options. So in some of my patients, that loved the pill. So this lady that I saw later in life, I was like, oh, well, clearly you loved the pill. You were really happy on it for years. So that's telling me you're going to tolerate hormones well. I just need to get the right preparation. So I'm like, I think this is hormones. We can do it. Whereas some women who didn't tolerate the pill, I'm a bit more like, okay, this could be a little bit more challenging. Let's try body identical progesterone, but let's go a little bit more slowly. So actually, you know, everyone says, oh, you feel better in 48, 72 hours. We're going to go slowly and you may not. And and you may feel a bit worse, but actually it's about that response and the saturation of the receptors. I think all of this that we don't actually know.
And you need time as well, don't you? Sometimes you need time, like you might have a bit of a bad response immediately, and then over time your body goes, I got this now. And so you don't want to give up too early either.
Yeah, and that's what I get a lot of second opinions if I've tried HRT and it didn't work, and I'm like, cool, great. And they're like, I don't want to try it again. And I'm like, but in my experience, I think trying it again with this tweak could be really helpful. Yeah. And also setting realistic expectations. You know, some women are coming through younger and they're like, oh, I got side effects. Or I just didn't feel any better. I'm like, cool. That just means maybe actually the benefits aren't outweighing the risks to you right now. It doesn't mean you don't like it. So you know what, right now for you to persevere with this or to go through the hassle of seeing me every 3 months, that's just not worth it. But actually it may be that, you know, down the line, you may want to try it again. Because I think some people are, I'm just a bit tired, I'm going to have hormones. And, you know, now I'm confident enough. And it took a while to, I've had one lady who, her life was mental, like even by my standards, like she made me feel calm and chilled, which is always a sign. And she tried it for 6 months and we tried high doses and I checked the absorption, all of these different preparations. And she felt like a bit better, but nothing groundbreaking. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I don't think this is hormones. Right. And I think we need to be able to say that as well. Like, I think that otherwise, you know, some people do think it's a quick, easy fix. And I think we need to be able to say no, but I don't want, like, you know, I have women coming to me on estrogen and their serum levels are like 50 or undetectable. And I'm like, you have not had a trial of estrogen. Yeah, no, it's not. We need to just revamp the whole approach, basically.
Yeah. But what do you think about like looking at the person from before you even dive into hormones, you know, if possible, because this is all cost money, but looking at your microbiome and looking at your thyroid health and looking at other aspects, you know, even toxicities or how are you processing out through the liver, your methylation, all of these aspects that go into how you process hormones out, as well as just the hormones, you know what I mean? So do you do that as well? I mean, money permitting?
I don't. I think that, you know what, I'm good at what I do and I am not really good at that, so I don't do it. And I'm really happy for people to work with other practitioners to do it. I do look at, you know, from a Western perspective and maybe a bit deeper than a traditional. So from a metabolic health perspective, I am looking at what are your liver functions doing and what have they done over your past 10 years? And have they increased or are they lower? Are they potentially suppressed because of just general body stress? But I kind of have quite more general approaches to that. Then I am like looking at cholesterol. I quite like the glucose metabolism.
Yes.
Insulin resistance,
absolutely.
and then thyroid function. But with thyroid, my approaches are more, I definitely believe we need a TSH and a T3 and a T4. I don't understand in my mind how you can just interpret one personally.
No, absolutely
but I kind of look at, you know, what was it years ago and what is it now? Like if it was all within the normal ranges, like middle of the normal ranges, and now everything's really low, I'd probably be like, well, this to me suggests that you're actually suppressed and stressed as well. And I would use the tools in my toolkit before kind of do it. But it's not my strength. And I kind of, you know, over the years, I've thought, should I upskill in that? And I think, you know what, I'm good enough at what I do and I'm busy enough. And one of my other interests is kind of, I love looking at bone health and through the years. And neurodivergence. So I feel I've got enough, and I do procedures, pessaries, IUDs, to be able to, if people are interested in that, to be great, go and see another practitioner. I will still work with you, but I cannot advise you in that space.
That's
and also,
great.
I don't know if this is a bit like, if I look a bit of like an egotistic twat, but, you know, my patients many of them seem to get better enough with me not looking into that. So is it that actually they come to me because they've already sorted that out?
Yep.
Or it's enough of it? I don't know. And I just...
But isn't that a great approach when you know what your specialty is or your expertise is, and you can work collaboratively with other people doing other things that may have a deeper expertise? Because it isn't, you know, it's something that I find really challenging is that I'm like hours every day studying in order to, because my clients are challenging me all of the
amazing,
time.
Isn't it? It's so good.
And I'm like, haven't come across that before. Let me go and study for the next 3 months on it, you know. So, and you reach a point of, you know, like you can only take in so much and do so much. And when you're trying to be holistic in your approach, then you want to learn everything, right? You want to be an expert in everything. And there are certain things that I've found, like things like, heavy metals or organic acid testing, that I just have not got my head around completely yet, you know? It's just, I'll get there one day, but, you know, like, and do you specialize and go deep into one thing, or do you stay more so that you can identify and then pass on to someone like yourself who's a real expert in the hormonal side of it?
So weird. I still don't think I'm an expert. It's funny. Like, what expert? Like, that doesn't work. Like,
no, you're an expert.
I find that really challenging. I don't think it is just imposter. I just almost think I still don't know what I don't know.
No, and I think that's
the whole thing of like, actually you're like where you're going, like your clients are challenging you. And I listened to, I can't remember what it was, a podcast that said, when you're an expert, you are happy to be challenged. And that was for me the biggest thing, when it was like, oh, maybe I am now. Throw me any question about hormones and I'll either know it or I don't, but I don't think I'm a failure because I don't know it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like, but you're humble enough to know that there's still more to learn, you know, and that things could change. And as new research comes out, rather than being what I don't like, is when you get the stuck in the mud. I went to medical school, therefore I am God. And that really annoys me. I went to medical school 30 years ago and I'm not looking at another book ever again. And I know everything. That approach, which is unfortunately more common than we'd like to see, that's not, I mean, medical knowledge is doubling. I keep saying it on my show, doubling every 72 days. Like nobody is across it. Nobody.
Yeah. You know what though? I think it's actually not that people don't want to learn. I think if you speak to most doctors, particularly maybe slightly younger ones, they want to be as good as they can be and they want to help their patients, but they don't have the capacity because of stress or the confidence to be challenged.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think like a lot of with hormone things, and I disagree about specifically the female-male gender divide. Like there are some male doctors that I'd much rather go to compared to female doctors. And actually, you know, I had my first ever argument with a GP this week who was a female. And that was really hard for me. Like when just this individual did not believe she said, you shouldn't be doing anything other than hormones. And I was like, I cannot be doing hormones by themselves because it's so integral.
Yes.
It wasn't because she was a bad doctor. It wasn't because she didn't want to learn. And I think that's where we need to reframe how we can move forward with health. Because as doctors in 15 minutes, we cannot do all the education.
No.
Like, we just can't do it. And that's why I developed my course, to help people to understand what the different hormones do, to set them up. But we've got to change that approach of, and I think, med schools are trying that paternalistic relationship and having it more mutual, but it does mean more time. And that's where I'm really intrigued by things like shared medical appointments. So before the flood in New Zealand, I was doing them where women would book in with about 6 to 8 other women, and I'd go around in a group and be like, okay, cool, why are you here? And so some women would be like, I've got heavy periods. And so I do a consult about heavy periods and explain why, what to manage, how to do it. And then I'd go round to the next one. And if some others had heavy periods, well, I'd give them the medications and the management, but I'd explain a bit deeper for something else. And that was just like amazing.
Well, it's education at the same time as a consultation. I mean, brilliant. And you've got the support network, hopefully, that comes out of these groups. And I'm a big fan of anything that's like mutual education. And that's why I run the podcast, right? Because people can sit and quietly and go over and over this if they need to, because it spoke to them. And then they are going for armed and a little bit more educated to go and dive deeper in whatever need they need to, and to also not just go and when they go to their doctor, just take whatever the first thing is that's given to them, but to have more of a critical thinking brain where they can go, well, hang on, what about this? I heard here's some research on this, here's a PubMed reference, whatever the case is. And I know that that's challenging for doctors, but it's also it does keep you, like, we need to have these, because hormones are very complex, they are very complicated, and we're very individual. Then there is no one size fits all, and there's research coming out all the time on different things. And, like some of the teachers that I've had and people that I've learned from are not into synthetic progestins, for example. So to hear that today was like, wow, okay, I'll listen to that.
Application and the understanding, because, I'm like, going back to me being a GP, what are my strengths? I've only got ABC in my toolkit. That's what I can do. And so thinking about the science, or somebody gets really fatigued, really awful, but the estrogen makes them feel amazing. The norethisterone is more androgenergic, so more similar to testosterone. So someone who's had a drive in the past, actually that could be really complementary to their well-being, and it doesn't cross into the brain. Or they've got really heavy periods and progesterone doesn't do that. So I still think, as a GP, I've got to look at the risks and benefits of every different medication and different option, and consider for the individual what that is. And that's where I think almost the looking at what's safest and what's natural is a bit detrimental, but we need to have more of those discussions.
Absolutely.
And even for the other, the other practitioners go, why did you use that? And for me to, well, I used it because of this, this, and this. And recently I don't prescribe sleeping tablets very often, but I think they have a place sometimes when someone's got a really defined, stressful situation, they're not sleeping and they can't sleep. And so the pharmacist challenged my specific prescription and said, this isn't just a sleeping tablet, this is for anxiety. And so my patient asked for an extra appointment and was like, Sam, the pharmacist said you didn't give me just a sleeping tablet, you gave me one for anxiety. And I'm like, yeah, I did. She was like, what? I was like, well, I think what you're going through is really stressful at the moment. So actually having a little bit of anti-anxiety when you go to sleep, because that's the cause of your sleep, is actually beneficial. And she was like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Funny that.
Yeah, funny. Yeah.
Hey everyone, just interrupting the show really briefly to let you know about some exciting news. We have just launched our new biotech company, Avum Labs. Now, Avum was born from a decade of relentless research and a profound realization that the aging of the immune system, also known as immunosenescence, is at the core of all 14 hallmarks of aging. Now, as the co-founder, I discovered a real gap in the market for a safe, universally accessible product designed to support the aging immune system while also protecting our gut and our cellular health. This unmet need set me on a journey of scientific discovery, and together with a world-class team of scientists, biochemists, doctors, and regenerative medicine specialists, we harnessed cutting-edge research to develop our flagship formulation known as Rejuvenate. It's a revolutionary approach to promoting vitality and longevity. At Avum Labs, we're committed to redefining what healthy aging looks like through innovation and precision science. Visit us at Avum Labs, that's AEVUM labs.co.nz to find out more about the product and the science behind this foundational product, or grab some Rejuvenate in my shop at shop.lisatamati.com, and the link will also be in the show notes below. Now back to the show.
So it's really the nuances, and I think almost that medical stuff is a framework. It gives us a springboard to be curious and inquisitive, to keep building on that and going back to those basics. And we now need to reframe it and be like, okay, how can we keep that being challenged and built upon? And the health system at the moment just doesn't do that. So in my little head, in my dreaming, like naive space, that's where I'm trying to be like, I want to make a parallel educational based women's health system. So everything I do, I'm like, oh, how does that fit into like my dream allied health system of education, adaptive education that's community driven from a grassroots basis, that's progressive, to get people the knowledge they need? Because I can't decide, like your listeners have decided to listen to this podcast because they have the capacity and the time and the desire to learn at this point. But if suddenly I gave this podcast to someone that's like, I don't think it's hormones, or I'm just too tired, they're not going to listen, and they're not going to be able to take it in. So, you know, I feel that we need to look at those different options and those snippets and feel different things to support people in their different parts of their journey.
Yeah, I think, you know, like, and I think what I'd like to do at some stage, Dr. Sam, is do a second podcast, because I think we haven't even touched on the specifics, right? Like we've talked about the frameworks and the hormones and the, you know, some of these, you know, mindset shifts really, and the education and the passion that you obviously have to help your clients, or your patients. But I would really like to dive deep in with you, like, okay, let's talk PCOS, let's talk endometriosis, let's talk heavy periods, let's talk perimenopause, let's talk menopause, let's talk, you know, like get into some nitty gritties maybe on a part 2, if you had time in a few weeks' time or something, to actually go into some of your approaches for that, because you know, like I think, I know you've got to wrap it up shortly and get to your hairdresser.
my 6 monthly hair appointment.
Yeah, and I've got to move mum. But I think your approach is really refreshing, and I'm just so glad to find collaborative people that are willing to talk, have open discussions, because I think that's in the last few years been squashed really badly. Yeah, and we need to have, because we all have different education bases and different backgrounds, like your naturopaths, your herbalists, your chiropractors, your osteos, your GPs, your surgeons. Everybody has valuable information to throw in the pot, and let's see what we come out with. And we may not all agree on everything.
Well, we won't all agree on everything.
We won't. Yeah. But I think having a humble mindset and a humility to go, well, maybe I can learn from this person today, and maybe I can learn from that person, and maybe together we might come up with some more brilliance. You know what I mean? And I really love that, and that's why I've started a group of doctors, and hopefully you'll come and join our little group of doctors in allied health, and we're trying to just have open discussions. We had one yesterday on holistic approach to cholesterol. fantastic lecture by Dr. Melvin Nario, which was just really mind-blowing, you know, and just to get the whole nuance of conversations. And it's not that everybody has to agree with everything that's said, but it's just so important that we start opening and having a less paternal system, a more maternal system, if you like, where it's open and collaborative and educational. So, Dr. Sam, thank you so much for your time today. And if you wouldn't mind coming back on in a month or two, maybe to go dive into some of the specific things that people might be dealing with, ladies that might be dealing with, that would be absolutely incredible. Now, you have some courses as well that people can go and do. Can you just tell us where to find you, how they can book an appointment with you if they want to, if you're taking on patients still, and your courses?
Yeah, so thanks. Yeah, I just felt that we need to get more education out, and I needed to take some space out of my brain. So I made a course called Is It Hormones, which walks through the hormone kind of changes throughout life and what the different hormones do. And I want that to give people a framework of how to kind of use it as a springboard, whatever age you are. Kind of heading into menopause. It's probably not so much post-menopause, to be honest, to communicate it and understand stuff. And there's a workbook, and I have made some worksheets to help guide you through your hormonal factors at puberty and the different kind of stages of hormonal vulnerability. There's links for everything on my website, which is femalegp.co.nz. And I've also got a specific healthcare professionals resources page where I've tried to group resources that I find useful for doctors to have a quick, easy access, like menopause scores, depression scores, specific with a hormone focus, breast cancer, predict models, bone health screening, calcium screening, guidelines for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So things that I find useful, I've tried to pop in that page as well. So obviously, you know, clients can use it as well, but I kind of just wanted to make it as easy and accessible for healthcare professionals.
That's gold.
Find stuff.
I'll be diving in there and having a look. If I can use that as well, that would be absolutely fabulous.
Give you I'll re-say this nicely afterwards, but we can do a 50% discount code for my course as well for your listeners if you want.
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah.
So can you come up with a code now that we can just put on?
Yeah. Lisa 50.
Perfect. Okay, Lisa 50, and you got a couple of weeks before this comes out anyway. So people go to femalegp.co.nz, hit the course button, and Lisa 50 will get you 50% off Dr. Sam's courses. Yep. What a deal. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. All right, Dr. Sam, well, thank you very much and enjoy your hairdresser visit. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, hit the notification bell and subscribe, and of course share it with just one person who you think could really benefit from this content. Click here to watch last week's episode, and click here for my website, and click here to watch a video you may not have seen yet.